I see Swami in everybody. It's not just Karunamayi, it's not just, any other form of divinity. I met Mata Amritanandamayi once. She spoke to me about Swami. I've seen your interview on Souljourns with Amma. And that's what Amma told me many times. Son, if you go and talk like this, not everybody is going to believe. It might even sometimes get you into trouble. But I believe that by saying this, that I see Sai Ma, I see Swami in Amma Kashrikar, I see Amma in Mata Amritanandamayi, I see Amma in Mother Yoli Saraswati, I see Amma in all the spiritual masters whom I encounter. Not for me to go and stand up on a terrace and say that I have seen Swami come back as Amma, I have seen Swami come back as this Swamiji or that Swamiji. Because without a second, even those people, those avatars have told me, there is no second to Swamis. And Amma has told this to me on many times, that Swami is the ultimate absolute Purnavatar. I mean, there is no second to Swami at all. There nothing can be compared to Swami, his mission. But that doesn't stop Swami from coming to us in other different forms. While I duly respect the feelings of, Sai devotees, even in my own family, there are a lot of people who challenge my belief and my faith, saying that, well, you are Swami's student. Well, my answer to them, even now, and to all the people is, I'm first and foremost always Swami's student. There are these other beautiful beings going around, spreading the light, spreading enlightenment. And I feel Swami has now opened this path up for me where I can see Swami in these people. And even if I never had this doubt to ever shift my beliefs from one guru into another, like Swami says, we should not do that. But I never had even an inkling or a thought to think along those lines. Oh, now here is my new guru. Mm-hmm. Because all the time when I'm with Amma, I experience and feel Swami.
Welcome to part 2 of our Souljourns interview with Karthik Ramesh. He received his MBA from Baba's University, a miracle in itself. And now he feels guided by the Purna Avatar, Sai Baba, to see Baba in everyone, his friends, his neighbors, and other spiritual guides, such as Amma Sri Karunamayi. It's new territory for Souljourns, the story of a Baba devotee through and through who recognizes the love of his father, mother, avatar in everyone. Welcome to Souljourns. This interview was recorded in Sai Baba's ashram, Prasanthi Nilayam, India, in December 2012.
Karthik, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
We're sitting here in the abode of highest peace, the home of Bhagavan Sri Sachi Sai Baba, where we're going to talk about Baba and Amma Sri Karunamayi. This is a first for Souljourns. This is the first and only interview I've ever conducted about Baba and Amma. Well, I'm going to allow Baba and Amma to guide me because I don't know where in the world to begin.
And I have huge respect now for all religions, for all deep, great spiritual beings. And I see Swami in everybody. It's not just Karunamayi, it's not just, any other form of divinity. I met Mata Amritanandamayi once. She spoke to me about Swami. I've seen your interview on Souljourns with Amma. There are other, beings which Swami has made me come into contact with, which made me realize that while Swami is the Purna Avatar, he is the absolute supreme Godhead, which even Amma has told to me in many occasions, as she has told to you and other Sai devotees. She's very openly acknowledged that. There are these other beautiful beings going around, spreading the light, spreading enlightenment. And I feel Swami has now opened this path up for me where I can see Swami in these people. And as I was telling Sister Jodi before this interview, that unless I am able to, let me not talk about others, unless I am able to see divinity, unless I am able to see Swami in a different physical form, in a different enlightened being, how am I going to be able to be, seeing Swami in people around me? It is so difficult to practice that teaching of Swami. Swami says, see divinity in all. It's very easy to see Swami in your wife, in your mother, in your father, in your brother, but it's very difficult to see Swami in the people, in the things you don't like. And I feel Swami has put me on that path today, and that's why I'm very happy to be talking about seeing the same one divinity in Swami, in Amma, while all the time acknowledging, and even in this trip of Puttaparthi, within me, Swami was resounding this way. And Amma has told this to me on many times, that Swami is the ultimate absolute Purnavatar. I mean, there is no second to Swami at all. There nothing can be compared to Swami, his mission. But that doesn't stop Swami from coming to us in other different forms.
And now that we're talking about that, I think that we're about 11 minutes, 12 minutes into the interview. For those who are completely unfamiliar with the other holy person you're talking about,
Right.
let's say a little bit about Amma Sri Karunamayi, as
Sure.
Jody and I know her. And I'll just start the ball
Please.
rolling by asking if she had ever been close to Swami. And she said when she was born,
Right.
Sai Baba visited her home,
Right.
her parents, and carried her as an infant
Infant
in his
arms.
arms.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I guess it qualifies as being close to Sai Baba.
Yeah.
Now, for the edification of others, even for those who might have mixed feelings about mixing holy people together in a conversation about Baba, talk to that. Who's Amma, and why are you interested?
For me, Amma is the supreme personification of motherly love. And, to answer this, I will complete the other part which I wanted to tell you. As I was coming to your room, I got a call, like these spiritual personalities, divine beings, whose form I feel Swami often takes to come and give us messages. There are also these wonderful enlightened light workers, beings to whom Swami speaks to. As I was coming to your room and I stood outside R1D4, my phone rang and there was one of these very, very close, very humble devotees of Swami who's been spending a lot of time in Abu Dhabi, in Middle East. Recently, Swami asked him through, his own conversation, inner conversation, to come back to Hyderabad. He called me. And he calls me out of the blue. He's been doing this for the last 7 years, I know. I had no clue of who he was. He called me and said, well, Karthik, Swami is telling me that you are going to have a very busy day today. The second thing he tells me is, Swami knows that you're going to be talking about him today. Swami wants you to talk about Mother Sai.
Really?
Can you believe that?
Out of the blue.
Out of the
You
blue.
haven't seen him in a long time.
I have not seen him in a long
Dubai
time.
to Hyderabad. He
Hyderabad.
calls you just as you're about to rap on the door.
That's right. He calls me and he says that it's all going to be fine. Because I was thinking to myself, should I do this? I mean, I volunteered to do this. Should I do this? And Swami calls and says, talk about Mother Sai. And for me, that is what Amma Sri Karunamayi is all about. And Sai, not just, there are people, like you said, who could find it difficult to mix the feeling of seeing Swami in other people. There are people who don't see Swami in their own family, or I have been in that situation. Swami told this to me once. He told me that if I, Karthik, do not see Swami in my mother, Swami will not do anything for me. Swami once also came in my dream. He threw a chalk. He said, write on the floor. Swami made me write, I, that is Swami, will do what your mother wants, not what you want. And ever since that dream happened many years ago, every day in the morning, till date, if I am with my mom, I first see Swami in my mother. When I get up, I take my mother's Father Namaskar. I tell my mother, Amma, you are Swami for me. If you are not going to bless me, how is Swami going to bless me? And it so happened, there have been many occasions, like I have this habit, like I said, as I got more involved into Swami and, started following my own religious beliefs strongly, we do a lot of fasting. So I once read about Shirdi Satcharitra's devotees, Cholkar, who used to stop eating sugar to get his desires fulfilled. So I told my mother, I have taken Cholkar. She said, well, Baba says, Swami says, don't fast, you don't need to fast. And I said, no, I'm not going to listen to you. I listen only to Swami. And all the while I was telling my mother, you are Swami, I believe in you. My mother said, well, Swami will give you a message. This time when you go to Puttaparthi, Swami is not going to talk to you. When I used to come to Puttaparthi as a devotee, almost invariably in the darshan line, Swami would stop, talk a few words, give me some words of guidance. That particular visit, when I entered Puttaparthi, these words of my mother were ringing. Is my mother Swami really? I mean, I'm taking her Pada Namaskar daily and trying to see Swami in her. The Sevadal at the door stops me at the main Ganesh gate, says, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going to see Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It's his ashram and I've been coming here. He says, Swami just left Puttaparthi. And I immediately called my mother and I said, Swami, forgive me. Forgive me for not listening to you. I told my mother, please bless me that let Swami talk to me. And then I rushed to Whitefield where Swami was. Swami spoke to me and blessed me. There's a second occasion in my life. So I started seeing Swami. Forget about seeing Swami in other spiritual beings at home. They say charity begins at home. For me, spirituality began at home, seeing Swami in my mother. And from there, over the time, having experiences with Swami as his devotee, his student, many times Swami has told, when one Swami cured my father of cancer on 3 different occasions, the very first time Swami did that, Swami looked at me straight in the eye and said, Swami did this for your mother. This was in Puttaparthi. Swami said, go and give this vibhuti to your father. He created vibhuti. He said, go and give this vibhuti to your father. His cancer is cancelled. Swami said, come back and tell me what your mother is telling. So I came back, I tell Swami, and Swami himself called me and went up to Swami. Swami said, before I could say anything, Swami said, Swami is so happy, chala santosham, because your mother is happy. So, this concept, so today getting the message from this medium, from the Sai devotee, talk about Mother Sai. I also want to let you know that the second occasion when Swami made me speak in his divine presence, this was on Dashara. This was during 2005, exactly on the day of Navratri, the 9th day of Dashara, 9th October 2005, if I'm not mistaken. I was doing Gram Seva with the other students. And suddenly word is sent for me and I got a bit worried. Why are they calling me out of the blue? They said, well, you have to go to the Vice Chancellor's office. So the boys get jittery when we have to meet our teachers and we are meeting the Vice Chancellor. Why is the Vice Chancellor interested in meeting me? What did I do wrong? And at that time, all the things we did wrong come to our mind. Which one is he going to talk? So I run back and then he's smiling at me and he says, well, Karthik, Swami has asked you to speak today.
Really?
Yes.
Is that the first time that's ever happened?
That was the second time. And I was like, my heart actually sank. I said, Swami, in Dashara, when there are more than 1 lakh, it is close to 500,000 people here. In
What's a lakh? How many people is a lakh?
1 lakh is like, 10 lakhs is 1 million.
Okay.
Yeah, so
100,000 people.
Yeah, 100,000. I said 100,000. How am I going to talk there? And the topic also was chosen so beautifully of Swami, which I want to tell you today. The motherhood of God and the godhood of mother.
He had you speak about mother. This is before you knew Sri Karunamayi.
This is way back in 2005. The motherhood of God, the godhood of mother. And when I went up to Swami before I started speaking, I said, Swami, you are God to me. You have made me realize that my mother is God. And with this realization, I hope to see that everybody around me is divine. Swami was very happy, and in the speech I acknowledged my mother, I acknowledged Swami as divinity. Swami says the 5 matas, the Bhu Mata, Go Mata, Deha Mata, Dehi Mata. So all of these, so unless one is able to appreciate, I realized down the spiritual path that if you are not able to understand a mother's love, you can never understand God's love. And if you are not able to see that motherly love in other divine beings, I cannot talk about others, I can never say that I have understood or experienced Swami's love. Because Swami, even in his name, he first calls himself Sri Satya Sai Baba. Sai being the divine, the most sweet mother. So for me, coming back to your very, very long answer to your question, Amma Sri Karunamayi represents to me the godhood aspect of mother. Swami represents to me the motherhood aspect of God.
Very good.
Yeah.
Before we proceed, a couple of like 15 questions and 15 quick answers. There won't be 15. How and when and where did you first meet Amma Sri Karunamayi?
I met Amma in June 2012, this year in New Jersey.
Just this year, New Jersey.
In New Jersey, yeah.
And she, to say it mildly, has swept you off your feet, and yet you haven't wavered 1 ounce in your devotion and love for Sri Satya Sai Baba.
Absolutely not. And Amma has specifically told me that Swami is everything for me personally, and he is the Purna Avatar. Even if I never had this doubt to ever shift my beliefs from one guru into another, like Swami says, we should not do that. But I never had even an inkling or a thought to think along those lines. Oh, now here is my new guru. Mm-hmm. Because all the time when I'm with Amma, I experience and feel Swami.
So reconcile that just one extra step for those people who are watching who might be tempted to go into judgment as to why is Karthik, why is Jody, why does Ted have 4 interviews on a Sai Baba channel with Amma Sri Karunamayi? You be the spokesman for the 3 of us and give your opinion to anybody who might have any doubts.
You really put me in a spot. Well, like I mentioned, Brother Ted, Amma Sri Karunamayi represents the supreme personification of motherly love. Forget about her, for a moment, let us keep aside the fact, let us put it, like I say, not on the back burner, let us put it on the altar for some time, the fact that we can see the same divinity in Amma Sri Karunamayi and Swami. Like I said, Amma brings that beautiful touch. She touches your soul every time you meet. And very few people, let me talk about people. I have not met so many avatars. None of us have seen all the avatars who are, currently on the planet. Very few of the avatars today can actually touch your life the way Swami has done that. Mm-hmm. And when I met Amma in June 2012, I felt that physical touch of Swami in my life again. And Amma has also revealed this to me, that she personifies the Sai Ma aspect of Swami. Mm-hmm. And I have no doubt about that because of the experiences which she has given me. While I duly respect the feelings of, Sai devotees, even in my own family, there are a lot of people who challenge my belief and my faith, saying that, well, you are Swami student. Well, my answer to them, even now, and to all the people is, I'm first and foremost always Swami student. Swami has also told this to me, that I'm his, like he tells to all the devotees, we are his children first. In his physical absence, as I believe, the concept of Swami's return, Sai, thy kingdom come, and the book which has been written, I firmly believe in Swami's return. I got that glimpse of Swami's divinity when I experienced Amma this year. Recently, Amma told this to me, as recently as last week. She looked at me and she said, well, son, Swami has done, and she did this, she said, he's done an inside-out transformation of you.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, Amma, you know everything. Swami, I see divinity in both of them. Whatever Swami has done today, it's only because of his grace. He's been guiding me, guarding me, my family, me. And now with Amma coming into my life, it's been a totally different experience.
This is all the more richer having heard just this much of your story, which has been a tremendous, this is an hour and a half of your story so far. It's an all the more richer chapter for Jody and me, and presumably for anybody who sees this, to see your opening your arms and your heart and your mind and your soul to embrace Swami as people maybe before you've judged, as Amma Sri Karunamayi, a known avatar walking the earth today, as others from your atheist father to your atheist self that you lived for many years. This is kind of a commentary on what Swami wants from everybody, just to suspend judgment and to be, isn't it?
Absolutely. I fully agree with you.
If we can conclude this two-part chapter on something that you feel the weight tugging you in your heart right now, that is maybe the one message that you didn't know it was correct to bring up here, or maybe Amma, or maybe Baba, or maybe your higher self is prodding you to talk about. I don't know if that makes any sense to you or not, but why don't you just use this opportunity to conclude this part of your program with us?
Yeah, so, I will just conclude with the feeling or the message which even Swami has conveyed, through somebody. We just have to enjoy Swami's love, look at him as a mother. And look at Swami as mother, look at our own mothers as Swami. Expand that love. Many of us do the Jyoti meditation in the morning, and as I do it every morning also, as Swami has told us, I try to first expand it, reflect it on people I don't like. Let me be honest, we all have people who don't like us. Not that maybe we don't like them, but we don't love them because they don't love us, right? So I try to extend my warmth, my love to them, and I instantly see that they reciprocate that. It's instant, within the same day, the same moment, that that love comes rebounding to you. And all the more, I would say, at this point of time when Swami's physical form is not there, we have to expand that love. Because I remember recently in 2008 or 9, when people were sighting Swami in the moon. I fully believe that. I believe that Swami can, he need not appear on the moon to show his divinity, but people said that he appeared on the moon. Why not? People say that Swami is going to come back. Why not? One of Swami's students himself told me that with Swami, we should never ask why. We should always say, why not? Because he can make the impossible I am possible. The reason I'm narrating this is even when we were I went up to the house, terrace, and I was trying to gaze at the moon and see Swami's face in the moon. I called up one of my student friends and said, hey, are you seeing Swami? I can see Swami's hair. I can see Swami's nose. He said, Karthik, why are we trying to look at, miles or light miles away at Swami's face in the moon? Why don't we look at the Swami's face in the old lady next door? Or at some blind person who's trying to cross the road, or at that poor starving dog on the road. Why are we trying to not look at Swami there and feeling elated and egoistic that I sighted Swami on the moon? So for me, seeing Swami or experience Swami, that's why I said it's more of a reaction, reflection, resound. When with Swami, it had always been a physical level reaction. Once during Shivratri 2006, one of the things which I hold very closely to my heart, which I want to reveal, we were all rushing into Mandir. Again, let me tell you, it's a very selfish agenda. Boys get an opportunity to distribute prasadam. We used that opportunity to go and get close to Swami.
Sure.
Swami was in his Rudra Rupam. He was furious with us because we were trying to get close to Swami. Instead of doing the duty which was allocated us to distribute prasadam, and we went near Swami. Swami said, is this devotion? He said, all of you crowding around me like this, you know how devotees are waiting outside? How many of them are waiting outside for Shivratri time? Millions of people have come for Baba's glimpse of his robe, waiting to get one of these prasadams. You should be focused on doing that work quick, and you're all hovering around my physical form. Then he said, Swami, we don't know what is devotion. You tell us. Maybe Swami created the moment to, Swami looked at all of us. He looked each one of us. I specifically felt the message was also for me. So devotion is the transformation. And Swami did like this, transformation of your own self. So I believe today what I would definitely like to state on record, I would never challenge anybody's belief if they come and say to me, I see Swami in my Guru. I see Swami in my mother, in my father. Because when we get so elated when one of Swami's miracle happens, we get so happy when we say in my Vibhuti is coming in my home on the photo, or Amridam is coming here, we rush to see that. Right? There was one time when Ganapati idol was drinking milk. There's so many amazing miracles which we rush to go, but when somebody comes and says, I see Swami even in my Guru, we take a step back. No, I don't see Swami in my Guru. So even to Amma Sri Karunamayi, I have told her this many times, not once, that Amma, I see Swami in you. And without fail, she has reflected this divinity. She has told me, I am your Sai Ma who has come back to you. And why is this happening? It is the second part of that reaction, reflection. She's reflecting that innermost thought of mine that I am seeing Swami in her, not so that I can go on interviews like this or go around telling. And that's what Amma told me many times, son, if you go and talk like this, not everybody is going to believe. It might even sometimes get you into trouble. But I believe that by saying this, that I see Sai Ma, I see Swami in Amma Kashrikar, I see Amma in Mata Amritanandamayi, I see Amma in Mother Yoli Saraswati, I see Amma in all the spiritual masters whom I encounter, because they are reminding that through this inner view which they are giving me, not interview, this inner view they are giving me, I have to carry it back and reflect that divinity on each and every individual whom I see. Not for me to go and stand up on a terrace and say that I have seen Swami come back as Amma, I have seen Swami come back as this Swamiji or that Swamiji. Because without a second, even those people, those avatars have told me, there is no second to Swami. Swami, while they are demigods, demigoddesses, avatars, 1,44,000, as Amma Sri Karunamayi has said, in this golden age which is heralded, have come to this earth at this point of time, in Amma's own words, on multiple occasions. We should start seeing divinity in things and people around us, especially if we want to herald the golden age early. So that is, my takeaway message for myself. It's not for, you said, what is the thing which I'm not supposed to speak? Amma said, don't talk about me as Swami. Well, I told Amma, which I'm telling on camera today, Amma, I see Swami in you. And I tell to all the people who are watching this video, I will definitely see Swami in them, even if they come and tell me that we don't believe you, we don't like you for this, or we don't like you, or even if my worst enemy turned up and said, I don't like you, I'm going to say, look at him in his eye with all love and say, but Swami, I love you. And I'm sure they are going to reflect back that divinity to me. So that is my conviction. People like, why just Amma Sri Karunamayi, Mata Amritanandamayi? When I met her, she spoke about Swami to me. So
she did.
She did. I met her also around the same. I met her 1 month after I met Amma Sri Karunamayi.
In America.
In America, in New York City. So what I come to realize along the way, and I met another, avatar in Chennai, as recently as last month. She too spoke about Swami to me.
Who's this?
This is a lady called Madhyoli Saraswati,
Okay.
who has a huge following in India again. She's considered a very evolved, enlightened soul. Madhyoli Saraswati. She's also called Amma. She spoke about Swami to me. And exact same things. And the biggest learning for me, Brother Ted, from this is that end of the day, what we see is just a reflection of what we feel or what proximity we are experiencing with our inner self. Swami is reflecting that. So if I'm seeing Swami in all these enlightened beings, and if I'm experiencing Swami, if they are giving me the similar kind of experiences which I've had in close proximity with Swami, it is nothing but a reflection of my own little innocent thought that Swami, it's you, it's you, it's you. And they respond back, Swami responds back to them saying, it's me, it's me, it's me.
Karthik, you know the phrase, you live in America, what goes around comes around. Jody and I see Swami in you.
And I see Swami.
And one last reminder for anybody who found this remotely stimulating and interesting, make sure to look at part 1 for an unbelievable series of stories of divinity expressed through Baba's students. Maybe his oldest student getting into school at age 26. Karthik, it's been a joy. Good luck on your journey. Jody and I will try to keep up with you and find out what other types of trouble you get yourself into. God bless you, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, thank you
Sai
for
Ram.
this.
Sai
Sir.
Ram.
Yes, this is dedicated to Swami as Saima and Amma, whom many of us also see as the Divine Mother or Saima.
Sing what he had you sing in the mandir that you claim you screeched all the way through and people were prodding you and saying you would never sing again in the divine presence. And he went into bliss and he went to another level. Would you sing that for us?
Yeah, sure.
Just sing.
Guru Nanak ji ki jai jaikar, jo bole so hoye nihal. Allah Sai le lo salam, Maula Sai le lo salam. Salam, salam, lakho salam. Salam, salam, lakho salam. Esu Pita Prabhu Sai Ram, Buddha Zoroastra Mahavir Nam. Salam, salam, lakho salam. Salam, salam, lakho salam. Salam, salam, mera salam.